Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we are going to continue on with our World War II project that we're working on the tiles for my battlefield that I'm going to be running. It's the Lafayette Bridge campaign, and we're working on building a foam tile battlefield. And the next step is I want to determine if the paints that I want to use are going to be compatible with styrofoam, because styrofoam has it reacts violently with like alcohol-based paints. So depending on, and a lot of spray primers and spray paints use alcohol in the paint, and that to clean the prevent clogging of the nozzle. So I have a pretty strong belief that the Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch 2X paints are compatible. I sprayed a couple of items earlier for my bocage with the 2X, and it seemed to work fine. But that was on the pink foam, so we're gonna experiment with it on this blue foam. I don't anticipate there being any difference, but if there is, we're gonna find out. But this one right here, this Rust-Oleum protective enamel, I do not know. This is the preferred color. It's a darker brown. It's darker than, let's say, this brown, right? And I want to use this color along the edges, the unseen edges of my tiles, so that when the tiles are butted together, like let's say these two, that dark brown will be on the inside edges, so if there is any kind of discrepancy in the way the tiles lay together, it'll be dark brown. Failing this, if this melts the foam, then I will go with this dark walnut, which is also a very dark brown. It's not black, but it's close. And the black I plan to use for all the areas like roads and any area that I plan to make a built-up area, asphalt or anything like that. I plan to prime with this black primer, but I'm also going to be putting asphalt on top of that, as well as maybe either asphalt paper, which won't necessarily need a primer, but the asphalt terrain paste. If I do that, I'd like to put this over a black surface. All right, so let me go ahead and take this one out. Let me take all of them out, prime them. When they're dry, I'll bring them back in, and we'll look to see if I still have a smooth texture here, or if it melts it, or destroys the styrofoam in any way. All right, I'll see you in just a minute. I want to say this right now, that I did spray very heavily because I wanted to put it to the extreme. I caked it on there, so take that for what it's worth. Now, I don't know, I turned on autofocus as well because I plan to bring these up close to the camera so that you can see them. But the best result out of all these right here is my flat black. That actually came out no problems, no issues at all. These guys, and maybe it's because I sprayed this with a different technique. I doubt it, but these pieces of foam here are weightless. I mean, they're super light. And so when I went to spray them, it kept blowing them around. I probably should have taped them down or held them in a hand like I did on this one. You can see the side that I held it on. On these, what I tried to do was angle the board up so when I sprayed it, the gravity would keep it from blowing around, but it didn't work because the air pressure coming out of these cans is stronger than the weight of these foam pieces. When I'm spraying these, I won't have that problem because these are much bigger and more, they're less likely to blow around, but these are very lightweight pieces. So having to do that, I sprayed from various different angles and it kept moving around on me. So that might have a lot to do with the amount of paint that I had actually put on them and the results. But I think it's more of the chemical compound than my spraying technique. All right, so let's take a look at the brown that I initially wanted to use, because it's not super dark, it's just dark enough that it'll disguise the corners, but light enough that it looks brown. Because that almost looks black. It's not, but it almost does. Okay, so when you're looking at this piece of foam, and hopefully it's all focusing, you can see that there's like no chemical interaction at all, right? But that's also a very light coat. That's the back side. Obviously, there's nothing there. The front side, I put a pretty heavy coat on, and you can see there is a little bit of stippling that started, right? That amount of stippling I'm okay with. That is, it'll just make it more of a rough texture, and that is perfectly fine. It doesn't destroy the foam. Now when we go to the walnut, this dark walnut, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a lot of bubbling going on, right? It didn't destroy the foam as much as I have had in the past, but it did put a pretty gross looking or extreme looking stippling along this foam. I did spray the back maybe with one light coat. It even started the stippling right along in here. So I figured a light coat plus another coat would still equate to this amount of stippling, melting or deformation of this. So I didn't want to use this paint anyway. I still wanted to use this one. But now let's take a look at the black, because the black is what I'm going to try to use on most of my roads and urban areas. It looks like there might be just a little piece right there that's still a little wet, but you can see that foam is perfectly smooth. There has not been any damage at all. So this is still going to be usable for my roads and urban areas, where this I think will work okay for my edges. Now something I could probably do is prime it with this and then go back over it with this, and that will probably eliminate the minor stippling. And we're going to experiment with that on one of these boards here in just a minute. Alright, I'm back from the flat black, and you can see that it looks pretty good. Now, of course, it looks like there wasn't great coverage right in there. I didn't get down into all the little nuances there, but you can see that it's still pretty smooth and flat. I went over to get to the top because I'm going to do the brown up and over the top as well, so that when I lay the grass paper, if there's any discrepancies along the edge, it'll have the brown underneath. And then this is the back, which is a very rough surface anyway, because I think that's where they use the circular saw to cut this foam. Because that looks like circular saw blade action right there. But even the pink looks good. Nothing looks melted. Alright, so now we're going to do the ultimate test here. And that is, I'm going to put a coat of brown on top of that black. And let's see how it does. This is the most northern edge. And the what is that? The northwest edge of the map. So if it gets damaged or anything like that, I'll be able to cover it with paper. But right now we're just gonna see what it looks like. Give me a minute. I'm gonna go prime it. We're gonna let it dry. We'll bring it back in. All right. Now while that piece is drying, I thought that I would take a leap of faith, like on a lark. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try this Rust-Oleum camouflage. Yeah, it's 2X color camouflage. I'm going to try the deep forest green on this just to see how it turns out. All right, be right back. Alright guys, I went ahead and brought in the deep forest green. That deep forest green looks really good. I don't see too much stippling. I do see just a hair, but I don't see very much. It looks like it's a good coverage, and it looks like it's pretty flat. Speaking of which, I've noticed that okay, I think it might have something to do with the satin versus the black, because the dark walnut is satin, and that kind of melted my board, or my foam board. The black, which is flat, seems to work okay. The camouflage, which is also flat, seems to work okay. And the dark brown, I think, is satin. So let's go take a look. Yes, the dark brown is satin. Let's get this green out of the way. And let's take a look. I can see there's a little bit of damage right along the edge there. It's almost not. It's also not noticeable. You know, it's still pretty flat. Backside looks okay, and there's some foam that I guess I'd cut. Looks like it needs to be peeled off, or maybe I didn't do that cutting. Maybe I did. I'm just going to leave it. Maybe I'll touch that up. Now there has been some conversation in that you could put a thin layer of Elmer's glue, white PVA along there to kind of seal it, and then when you prime it, you'll be priming on top of the PVA and not the foam to help protect it. But it seems like the walnut looks okay. Or no, dark brown. Dark brown looks okay. It looks good. But I think I might do deep forest green instead. Or is that too light? That might be too light. Because I want that to be in shadow. Like when they're together, if there's a gap, I want it to definitely enhance the shadow. So I want it to be dark. This is the outside edge, not that big of a deal. But the inside edges that actually butt up against the foam, I want that to be dark. I could just go straight black and just leave it black, because black is definitely a shadow, right? I could just, because if I'm going to hit it black and then hit it brown later, why don't I just hit it black? I don't know. I used to own a set of foam tiles called Geohex. I don't know if you remember those, but they had a very light brown or a standard brown color, maybe even lighter than that, along the edge. I don't think I want to do that. I think I want it to be darker. So dark brown it is, or maybe deep forest green. I'll have to consider those over the coming days when I actually get down to priming the edges, because I'm not doing that today. Alright, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these tiles out in a way that you can kind of see how they're going together. I might have to do that on the floor because I don't have a 4x6 surface cleared out on the table here. And then I also want to mark out where the roads are going to be, and the fields and the river and stuff like that. And then if we have enough time today, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting the roads out and the river out. All right, so let me get positioned and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the main city tile, and then this is the northern edge of that tile, and this is the southern edge of that. There we go. And then that's going to match with that. That's going to match up with that. Centered somehow, somewhere. I'll figure it out when I'm starting to draw the roads. And then this being the causeway, and this being the end of the causeway. Let's go ahead and match that up. Now the corners right here should match. And then this guy should also match into that corner as well. Alright, and that's the Lafier Bridge battlefield. We've got the main road here, the bridge, the causeway, the town. Yeah, hopefully all that fits together really well. Alright guys, we are back. This is the main field, and this is the start of the causeway. I went ahead and printed out a map for me to use as a guideline. The causeway is going to come across here, and it's going to be almost straight, 2 inches wide, right up to about this point right there, and then it's going to start turning. You can kind of see where it starts to turn. There will be another road that goes off this and down and around the battlefield over there. But right now I'm more concerned with the main highways, and because of the way I'm going to model them. And I can see right here at that spot, it starts to turn mainly this way, and it goes almost perfectly straight just below the midpoint here. So I need to find out where that midpoint is. I'm trying to be accurate, but this is a wargaming table, and it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. You hear me say that all the time. You're probably tired of hearing me say that, but wargaming terrain is not supposed to be 100% accurate. It's supposed to be fun to play on, for one thing. Okay, so somewhere in there, in this general area, is the center. And this highway is going to go kind of in that direction right there. And then it slowly starts to turn off the table here. Very subtle turn. I probably don't even need to model the turn. Now on the causeway, I measured 2 inches so that I could put hedges on both sides. The road is not actually going to be 2 inches. There's going to be a cut area, like a ditch, on both sides of the road. Goes down very small, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters, but there is just going to be just this little bitty ditch that allows for the road in the middle. And it's going to be maybe 1/8 of an inch wide, maybe 1/4 of an inch wide each. So the road will technically be only about 1.5 inches wide. Because there's going to be like a little bitty ditch inside there. Yeah, giving a, yeah, you get it. Okay, but because everything I need is going to be 2 inches wide, it needs to go like that. That gives me enough room to cut stuff out of the road. Now anything I mark on this foam, it's either going to be cut out or covered up. So you can mark all you want on here, like you can put numbers or whatever. Okay, so the main road is going to go like that. It's actually going to be just a little bit thinner than that, but there's going to be a now if I wanted to, I could angle this over this way, kind of giving me a little bit of a curve. I don't know if I really want to bother with that. Well, if I cut it way down here, okay, that's the 12-inch mark. It really needs to come in. Yeah, I'm going to angle it. Okay, So there's a subtle turn in the road right there. Okay. Now there's another part of this highway that goes from the town down off the map. Well, actually, yeah, where's the center? Center is approximately right there. So it'll cut across there, but go on to the next map right about there. If that's 6 inches, that'll be about 4 inches. Yep. Okay. So down this road, really? I'm going to give it 5. I'm going to give it 5 just because. Feeling cool about it. Okay. Now this road isn't necessarily straight. I could probably freehand it. Yeah, I probably should. Okay. That's 2 inches, and that's 2 inches. And that's 2 inches. Okay. 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 Now this road should kind of angle around this way just a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll dotted line it. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, and then from the dotted lines, I can make some 2-inch dotted lines. Okay. Okay, now you notice I didn't go all the way, because what I'm noticing is this road here kind of allows for a turn like this, but also a turn like this. So there's this T intersection there is actually kind of more like a Y intersection. So I'm just going to dotted line it kind of like that. There we go. That's the main highway. The main highway on this map. Okay. So let me just set that off to the side temporarily. Pull this one up a little closer. Spooky. Okay. I gave a 1/2 inch on both sides. No, I didn't. 1/4 inch. I don't even remember. Hold on. Yeah, so up here is like 2 3/4. That'll make the road 1.5 inches. Wait a second. That's not right. Hold on. Yeah, I got 3 inches here, but I have less than 3 inches there. Okay. Must cut a little extra off. That's okay. Okay, so that's going to be the causeway, and then there's going to be just enough lip to do hedges. Now those hedges are smaller than that lip. That's good. That'll work. Yep, that's going to work. Now there's going to be a dirt road that goes up this way. Not concerned about that with the where I'm laying the highway, but I am concerned about where I cut the foam for the dirt road. I don't want to cut into the paved road where the dirt road connects, because I want to have the dirt road connect straight into the paved road. So I have to figure out where these because of that, I'm going to have to figure out where these paved roads are. And it looks, or dirt roads, it looks like this dirt road is right along the edge here, and then the bocage is just on the other side of this dirt road. Now the dirt roads I don't plan to cut in. I'm considering taking light earth and just painting directly over the grass to make a dirt road. I'm going to have to experiment with that, and I'll probably do that very soon. Maybe tomorrow on our live stream. Between 11 and 1 Central Time, I stream live, and I'm probably going to work a little bit more on these tomorrow, laying grass. I think that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, and possibly also putting asphalt down. Okay, so I need to know about where 12 inches is. Right about there. Okay. From there, I need to know where about 6 inches is, because that's what I'm using. Okay, 6 inches is right there on that line. Yeah, so, okay. I think this dirt road is going to come down to the paved road like so. and then I'll just follow this with the dirt road. Yep. Okay, so the dirt road will be going this way, and there should be another dirt road going back out this way, and that'll be on this map as well. So we'll figure that out here in just a minute. I'll probably put a building down or two so that I can make sure the roads go around the buildings because of scale. Now there's also another dirt road that goes down this side, but it leaves enough room for it leaves enough room for a 6-inch hedge. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some piecemeal here. Bear with me. Yep. Okay, I'm not using this one in this spot, but there is going to be like a 6-inch bocage right there. It should technically be there, I think. That one probably should be a 4-inch bocage. Okay, I'm going to have to handcraft a 4-inch bocage. That's going to go right there. Okay. So that means my road has got to avoid that bocage. It's not supposed to be a perfect intersection here. It's supposed to be a little bit further up. Okay, 6 inches. Yep, the road goes through that spot right there. And right there. wait, this is a dirt road. Yikes. Okay. Dirt roads I'm making a lot thinner. Okay, this works. Okay, so ignore this. It doesn't matter. Okay. Alright, so now once I get past this bocage, it needs to kind of flare into a highway. That being the highway. Okay, that works. Now the dirt roads I don't even really have to model, but I'm putting them on there just for flavor and so that you can kind of see the battlefield. There's another road that leads back out this way. It's a main road, but it's not the highway. So I'm just going to model it as a dirt road, and it's going to connect I don't know if I like that road being that far forward because it's supposed to be a good couple inches back. Yeah, so I'm gonna remodel. I'm doing remodeling. That dirt road is going to be there, so ignore that. That way these roads are not, they're not it's not an X, or it's two T intersections. Okay. There we go. That works on that one. And kind of just spitballing right here. I'm not really measuring anything. That is the end of the board. We're 6 inches. Okay, that is 6 inches. Yep, and so that road actually goes right about there. That's perfect. And then that road comes down and does something like that. And then we can follow that all the way down. Okay, so we got a little bit of a weird intersection situation going on right here. I'm loving it. Okay, the church is supposed to be right here, right? That's the church. Not sure where, and it might even be on the seam. That's fine. No, it's not supposed to be on the seam. It's supposed to be right there. Maybe a building right here, and then another building back over here, starting the town. Okay, I thought I had, okay, it's over there. I was like, I thought I had a single-story building. Okay, I do. Okay, depending on how I put that against the road, it looks like it's going to work out okay. Whoops. Being like that. Yep, that looks like it's going to work out okay. And there's no way in hell, no way in hell I'm going to be able to use that church right there. It's just way too big. Look at that. It's just, it's not even, it needs to be like a little shrine or a chapel or something. It needs to be super small. If all else fails, I'll just use a building like this and say that's the church. Yep, and then I'm going to make like a little, I want to make a little cemetery right there as well. We'll have to see how that turns out. Yeah. Okay, so this one is pretty set. I'm probably going to have a couple more. I'm going to have a bocage there, and then maybe another 4-inch bocage there, maybe another bocage there, and a bocage there, something like that. On this side, there's going to be something like that when it comes to bocage. And then this is not going to be bocage. Right? There might be a little piece of bocage right there. And yeah, and then this tile will be pretty much set. Okay. So let's get this out of the way. And we're going back to where we once belonged. Go back to the main, where the roads are going to match. I'm going to put the dirt road right like that. Let's turn this appropriately. Okay. Okay, it looks like this dirt road comes in a ways and then starts turning maybe through this area. Oh, no. That's a full tile. Okay. Hang on. It goes off the map in that area. Okay. At 12 inches in, that's what I was looking at. At 12 inches in, it looks like Wait, this is dirt road. Sorry. Okay, I keep marking it as a main road, but it's really a dirt road. Okay. So let's just eyeball it. We already put one-story building over here. I could probably put another building over there. Whoops. Okay. And then maybe a shop over there. Okay. And this is 12 inches in. Okay. One story. Two. Shop. There's not a lot of space between these buildings. Yeah, I'm going to give there just enough room for like a guy to go through. And there's going to be a bocage right there. And this dirt road goes up to about where the bocage is. So this little village, town, sector, section thing is all going to fit. There's going to be 3 buildings in there, plus the church over there. There's going to be some bocage or something over here kind of causing problems. Okay. All right. It's not a straight road, as you can see. Okay. And then that'll go on to this next tile. Okay, so far we're doing okay, I think, in my design. Let me go ahead and pull this tile. Okay, remember the one I painted? Yeah, a little premature, but that's okay. Okay, so the dirt road's going to go off that way. But there's going to be another dirt road going this way. There we go. That tile is done. Okay. That was easy. And I'm just gonna put that there like that, just to kind of get an idea. And I think this church is going to be more like that, because the tombstones and everything else is going to be around this way. Maybe a gated fence wall area kind of thing. And it'll probably go like that. Okay. All right, so this one is done as well. Off the bottom of the map. Okay, so that's how the highway is going to go off this third tile. But does that finish this tile? It does. Okay. Bringing this tile back because this guy goes right here and this dirt road leads somewhere. Okay. Okay. That ends this tile. I'm going to take a little detour here. Okay, so I've already drawn that road, and now we've got this causeway right here. We're going to go ahead, and there's a road that goes off this way, off the northern part of this. Okay, plus the river. I almost forgot about the river. Okay, this is pretty obvious where the river is right here. Yeah, so I'm just gonna model the river right there. This river is gonna flow around this hill, obviously, and then it's gonna kind of flow along the bottom edge of this slope. That's the Merderit River. And the road might have to fudge some stuff. Yeah, because if the bridge is right there, the road needs to start. It's a dirt road, but it needs to start right about there. And it looks like it goes pretty straight up. There we go. All right. Now, in modern era, there is like a parking lot right here because the cafe is right across here. So let's go ahead. But I'm not modeling a modern parking lot. I'm leaving that out. Okay, so that's going to be the final tile. Now the Meridorette, I'm just going to, through artistic license, I'm just going to bring it across the seam, even though it's not technically across the seam the way I've got it modeled here, but it's going to be, and then I'm going to bring it out here. I'm going to go down. That's going to be the Meridorette River. I probably could make it a little bit wider. There, yep. And then it just looks like it comes over here. Okay, that's the river. Right, and then we're going to use the bridge right there, right? I think what I'm going to do is actually cut a little groove into the foam so that the bridge will sit down in there, and that way it won't move around. And then these buildings, I've kind of toyed with how I wanted to display them. I think I'm going to do it like this, where we got the chateau and then the farm behind, but or the barn or coach inn or whatever it's called. But I also wanted to kind of put it at an angle so that it's not so it's not so animated or non-animated or whatever. But there's just not enough room for these two giant buildings. I could probably put one there and then put one down here somewhere like that if I wanted to do that, and then maybe put a third building there, just make it really cluttered. But I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm going to put this guy there and this guy somewhere in the back. I put the coaching door here, where I probably, now that I'm thinking about it, make the coach in the wall, where, I could put it like right next to the bridge, or I could put it up here. And then I'd be able to put, this, that doesn't go on there. Okay. Then I could put that chateau back like that or something. I might do something like that. I'll have to try to figure out how I want to do it. Mainly to make it aesthetically pleasing and playable. Now I want you to know I'm not using the hot knife. I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife. I'm making shallow cuts anyway, and I didn't want to use the hot knife and accidentally cut too much, or my hand to be unstable or anything like that. So I'm actually going to be using an X-Acto knife. Now let me kind of get in a little closer for you to see. may be better, I don't know. Okay, now you might already see one cut right here has already been done, but I'm going to do this one right now on camera so you can see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut at an angle, maybe 30 degrees, you know, or 60 degrees or whatever it is. That's because that's 0 degrees, right? So maybe it's 30 degrees. And I'm going to cut right along the thick black line. I'm going to go this way first. All the way through. And then I'm going to take a good chunk, maybe 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, doesn't matter, because I can fix it in post. But now I'm going to take, so I've cut this way, now I'm going to cut this way, and it's going to give me this V-shaped cut right along here. And I kind of want it to be shallow. I don't want it to be deep. Whoops. There we go. And this little piece of foam will pop right out. And now I've got two little grooves right there where the road is going to be in the middle. Flock, grass, or whatever is going to be on the outside, and what I'm going to do is I'll fill this in with either flock, clump foliage, tufts, or just whatever to kind of level it out, but I also want it to look like it's got a little bit of a ditch. Okay, now this other side I didn't cut much of an angle, did I? Or is that just hard for me to see? Yeah. It's kind of hard for me to see. So what I'm going to do is come back at it. Okay, that was probably too much. But again, even with it getting real close to the edge, I plan to fill this with foliage so that when I do decide to put a hedge up there, well, it's going to sit up there anyway, isn't it? Okay, that's fine. But I wanted it to be able to sit on the clump foliage without it going. It's not gonna fall anyway. Okay. Perfect. Now I thought about cutting out the bridge, making like a little socket for the bridge to sit down into, which I still might do, but I'm not going to do that for right now. And again, because the dirt road is going to start off of the pavement, I am not going to cut across here. I want the road and the pavement to be at the same height. So we're going to start on the line, making it a fairly shallow cut, and just follow the line. Now without turning everything, okay, let's do a shallow cut there too. Now I might do a little bit of a curve, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Okay, now because the roads are actually going to be thinner than the black lines, I'm going to cut in from, I don't know, 1/8, 1/4 of an inch, something like that. with a very shallow cut. And I'm going to turn it around because I'm right-handed and I just want to make sure all my cuts are even. And again, I'm not going across there. There's only a little piece right there until it gets to the bridge. And then the other half of this line. All the way to the bridge. Okay, so this one is pretty much done. I'm not gonna bore you with any additional details. I'm gonna move on. Cut. Oh, okay, I will be cutting the river as well. Okay, as we know, this is the main highway. This is also a highway, but those are the only two highways. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to cut it on the black line. Shallow cut. And I'm going to follow this road with my shallow cut. Barely using the blade, tip of the blade. Okay, nice shallow cut. Now I'm going to cut in about 1/4 of an inch following the road that I just cut. Alright, there we go. We got a start of a road. Okay, since I'm here, let's go ahead and cut along the line. Done. Now I'm going to cut in, even though I haven't cut that side yet. I'm still going to angle it in from this corner, or side, I would guess. About 1/8 of an inch. No, I guess it's more like 1/4 of an inch. But I'm making a very shallow cut, meaning the blade angle is almost parallel with the surface. Let's flip it over and see what I've done. Okay, it looks like I've gone all over here, so let's Okay. Even though this is also highway, I just stopped there. All right, now I'll get that 1/4 inch. And what this does is it basically just helps define where the roads are on the map. It makes modeling the flock and the paper and everything else I'm going to be using a lot easier to mount, because I'll have a definitive location of where it's supposed to be. There we go, you got your road right there. Now the tricky part is this is also a main road. Ooh, took out a chunk. Okay. I'm actually okay with that. Yeah, that works perfect. Okay. Okay, so on my, okay, the causeway, one more causeway piece, right? Yep, okay. One more causeway piece. Okay, I almost forgot this piece. Just looking, might be easier for you to see that on this side. Okay, so here we go. The dirt road doesn't start till up there, so I can cut right across there. Okay. And again, I'm trying to go shallow. Okay, that's also a dirt road. Alright, now I'm just staying on the causeway right now. Okay, so okay, that looks good. Oops, okay. Lost a little control there. No, it'll be the one here. Okay. So it ends right there, entering these dirt roads. This is a dirt road, this is a dirt road. Oh, it went all the way up there. Okay, hang on. That's where I messed up. There we go. Because that's not the dirt road. Okay. Okay, so that dirt road's fine. That dirt road is going to be fine. The main highway is fine. These roads, I'm not sure exactly how I want to do the dirt roads yet, so I'm not going to commit to that. But tomorrow we're going to be laying grass and putting not flock, we're going to lay grass, and we're going to maybe put some asphalt down tomorrow. So, and then I'll try to figure out how I want to do the dirt roads. I probably should figure that out before we start doing the grass. But I will see you tomorrow, and thanks for coming out and watching this video. And remember, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock a.m. I do a live stream, model building, crafting, wargaming, supplies, painting, whatever. So, and we have a good old time where we just talk about stuff. And if you've got anything you want to discuss with me, that would be a perfect time to jump online and chat with me. All right. I will see you next time.